no, I ordered size 3XL, and I'm more of an extra medium. Right. Listen, it doesn't really matter. Size man. Just send it because I have a show in a few months. Anyway, oh, goodness. Hi. Welcome back. It's me, Mrs. Kasha Davis, here on Auntie, and I am thrilled that you're here. Let me tell you, I have a bunch of friends, as they say in the industry. But today, this one has not only been a friend, but has been a mentor in the comedy world. I know you're looking at me and you're saying, but Mrs. Kasha Davis, you look so serious and you're dressed in such a serious manner. No, it's a comedy. This is all comedy. No, it's honestly just a joy to have a friend here, a mover, a shaker, an entrepreneur, and a motivator. Let's give him a call on the ringy dingy. It's 1-800-69. Here he is. Oh, hello. Are you there?
Oh, hello.
Hello, Todd Youngman.
Mrs. Kasha Davis?
That's me.
I hear you. How are you?
I'm just delighted. You remember telephones.
I do.
Yes.
Yes.
Did you ever prank anyone on a telephone?
I did a lot of pranking, and I remember going to call a girl and hoping nobody, like a parent, answered on the other end.
And they were other siblings or other people listening?
Yeah, exactly. Or you would have to take the cord and go walk around into another room and shut the door.
And remember when it was exciting when you got the push button before it was like,
oh yeah,
and you tried to
Did you have the push button hamburger phone?
We did. I've seen it, but we did not have it.
Okay, well I got to go.
You got to go. Let's go.
All right, bye.
Look at here we are.
Hi, how are you?
Modern, right here.
This is great.
Isn't this fun?
I love this setup. This is nice.
Yes, it's comfortable. You're in Auntie's living room. We washed the mug for you so that the previous guests, it's your germs only.
Mm-hmm. Delicious. I have nothing in my mug.
For what is it called? ASMR? Wait.
Yes. What's in your mug?
Coffee.
Oh, okay. What do I have to
transfer addiction?
Get some?
No, I just when I say that I wanted to have people who motivate me, who are movers, shakers, entrepreneurs, people who are out there making a difference.
Yeah.
I immediately had you on the list. I didn't have you first.
No, that's fine.
No, but I had you. Honestly, I mean this with all seriousness. I had you on the list because from when I met you early on, when I met you early on, I immediately thought this person is absolutely passionate about their art, their work, as I am. And you're in the trenches, working, making it happen. And comedy is probably a part of your life.
Yeah.
But you're now a full-time comedian.
Yes.
Tell us the journey. Tell us the backstory, how you, Todd Youngman, got to this place.
Yeah, I've always been a comedy fan.
Right.
You know, people say that all the time. But I grew up on George Carlin specials. I love George. I always joke that I learned more from 5 George Carlin specials than I ever did in all my years in the Brighton Central School District. I learned from George Carlin.
Yeah.
But I'd watch every HBO special back when specials were special. Yeah. Now they just put out specials all the time.
Well, we have that connection to that retro stuff. We go back to we'll send each other old clips of,
even further back than the 80s.
Well, right. Yeah. But it's the stuff from the sitcoms of the 50s and the 60s and the roasts and all these things.
Roasts, yeah.
Oh my God.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all the TV shows. But so I've always been a fan.
Right.
I would go, Yuck Yucks used to be here in Rochester. It was a comedy club down in the old Holiday Inn. And I'd go there with my dad, see comics all the time. And one that in particular was a guy named Kevin Meaney, who later in life became a mentor and friend to me, which is crazy for me to think because we used to go see him and, for days after we'd quote Kevin Meaney, all his lines and stuff. So to become, friends with him and have him mentor me was amazing. But I actually got into comedy once I was in therapy, and the therapist said to me, what are a couple things you always wanted to do? And I said, I've always wanted to act or try stand-up comedy. And he goes, oh, comedy, why don't you try it? And I go, well, I'm 40. Why bother? What's the point? And he goes, well, I don't play cop-outs, so I'm going to find you an open mic. He found me an open mic at Love and Cup at RIT.
Yeah.
I went and did it. the worst thing I ever did in my life. It was because, it was comedy, poetry, music. It was just a mashup of everything. So I did it, and I followed a guy playing the harp. So,
Perfect.
And
I wish I was there.
Yeah. Oh, it was the worst. But anyway, I came back, you have to report back. It's homework. And he goes, oh, you got to try it at a comedy club. And that's, he Googled the comedy club in Webster. They were doing a showcase. I signed up for it. I did it. I got a few laughs. And that's really all you need as a comic,
you get a few laughs.
Connection. Right. And then afterwards, I went up to the club manager, who was actually Mark Ippolito.
Right.
This is 15 years ago. And I said to him, I said, what do I have to do to keep doing this? And, in true Mark fashion, he's like, bro, you just gotta, keep showing up at the club, watch shows, ask questions, talk to headliners, features, hosts, just be present. And I did that for a very long time.
And you still do that. That's why I'm so impressed.
I always go.
We're always learning.
Yeah.
You're always attending.
Yeah.
You're always interested in the different comics.
Exactly.
And you're constantly, one of the things that's fun, we send each other different like jokes or things or like over the years, but just a true workhorse.
Well, me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm more of a fan, I think. All style, like I like to see all styles and forms of comedy.
Right.
And I feel you can learn from the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
You can be like, oh, I don't know, hope I never do that. Or, wow, that's a cool way that they moved the mic stand, or the way they kind of sit on the stool, or,
right.
the way they delivered a joke. I like seeing all that. I like breaking down comedy and, getting into the nuance of it and stuff. So, I'll go. And I have the luxury of going because I work
at the Carlson.
Right, yeah. So, but in the beginning, it was, when I first started going, I would go to shows, I'd pay. And then eventually I was coming all the time. And Mark's like, oh, don't worry. He's seeing that
you've got the interest.
I got the interest. I'm showing initiative. And eventually he would give me 5-minute spots on like a Thursday. And then eventually worked me to hosting. And when I didn't deserve to be hosting, I gave it a shot. But, obviously he saw something in me. And then, I became a feature. And now, 15 years later, I'm, I'll do it all. I'll host.
You're a headliner.
Right. I'll do it all.
Yeah.
I'm not above any of it.
The one thing, I love your modesty, but I've watched you in how many years I've been lucky enough to work with you.
Yeah.
You've helped me create my set. You've helped me to get the courage to get up there and do stand up. And I've watched, you've hosted our shows. You've been a part of the headlining. I've seen the progress, and I've seen you come back and be like, well, that didn't go the way I wanted to.
Sure, yeah.
And I love the way it's like, what can I learn from that? What can I do differently?
Exactly.
Like that? You don't just like crash and burn. But a couple things. Number one, dreams don't have an expiration date. So you're, older, you made this decision in life. It's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try it.
Yes.
I'm going to start.
Yeah.
Now, I thought when you almost got run over by a car, that was part of the drive. So you had a traumatic bike accident.
That was bad. I used to ride my bike. This was what, 2000, right? Yeah, 2000. And I used to ride my bike to work, just for exercise. Yeah. And one morning I was, going past the Strong Museum of Play right by the entrance, and a landscape crew, not funny, but they hit me with the wheel well of their trailer. They didn't even know they hit me, and it locked up my wheels, slammed me on my face. And,
and now this is why you're so stunning.
This is why I'm brutally handsome.
Right.
And, and then, it was, a
horrible.
It was the worst. It was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you haven't ridden your bike
Road
since?
rat. No, I haven't. No.
Well, the times that I've, back when I didn't have my license, I would walk places, but some of them were just too far. And it was time management, so I had to ride my bike.
Sure.
People, they don't want you on the road.
No, they don't.
No.
Right.
And I think it's like this thing where if people are driving and they see you, it's like as if they aim for you, unconsciously. Right? Yeah. Maybe not so much always.
I can get to this guy.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah. But you worked, we have the experience that we share where we worked in the corporate world.
Yeah.
And we can, let's circle back to the.
Let's touch base.
Let's touch base on that.
Put a pin in it.
So, yeah. But you felt like, similar to me, this is another thing, a way we connected.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, that it was just depressing. Like, why am I here?
Yes.
Why am I doing this?
Right.
What is the point?
Yeah.
And was that around the time when you were kind of discovering the transition, or are these all three separate things that I'm remembering?
No, it's around the time. And what really pushed me, and it's a sad reason that pushed me, it was around the time I was working for a catalog company, a mail order catalog company. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people I worked with.
Right.
The job was tedious But the owners of that company died in a plane crash, a private plane crash. And shortly, it was about a year after they passed, the company just folded.
Right.
And it was at that point, I got a couple other jobs after that. And I'm like, what am I doing? I should really, because I had already started comedy. And I'm like, I'm just going to start focusing on that and, try to make it what I do. And
essentially it's your full-time
job. I'm in comedy.
You're in comedy.
I'm in comedy.
And that is what makes me want to stand up and cheer, because you work at the Carlson Comedy Club. You are, what is your title there? With marketing?
Marketing manager.
Marketing.
Yeah.
And obviously no one promotes a show as good as you do. And you've taught me, different ways to promote the shows and to, let's just say sensitively or kindly annoy our audiences.
That's what I do.
Coming to the shows, right? That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's part of any kind of marketing.
Right.
And so this from your experience, but so we've worked on that aspect and you've influenced me there. But then the idea that you're doing it full time. I think all too often in the world and the conversations of motivators and movers and shakers and entrepreneurs, some people are like, I don't deserve to do this. It's just something I love. I don't know if I can commit to it full time.
Yeah.
And it takes guts.
It does.
I would say support at home.
Oh, yeah, a lot of support.
Right.
Home and friends.
Yeah. To do it.
Sure.
And looking back at that, who are some of your biggest supporters? We talked about Mark.
Mark, absolutely. Mark gave me my start. Mark Ippolito, who's the director of operations at the Carlson. He gave me my start, and I'll forever be grateful to him. My wife,
right,
who allowed me to go off on weekends.
Right.
Come back late, not late, but we
different
have kids, right? So to let me pursue this silly little leap of faith, right? But and also friends. Like in the beginning when I did that open mic, that, I'd say, hey, I'm doing an open mic, and people actually showed up to support and would lie to me after and tell me how good I did, even though it was,
the same. It's the similarities between comedy and drag are just, it blows me away. It's the same.
It is
general kind of thing. You're standing up on stage and you're doing your thing, whatever your thing is, telling your truth, telling your stories. Same thing with drag. And if I look back at some of that stuff, I'm like, and even a year ago, I could look back at something. I was like, wow, there was a choice that you made there. Mm-hmm. But that's part of the fun, right?
It is.
Continuing to learn.
It's fun to watch the growth.
Right.
Of yourself.
Okay. Worst experience on stage? What comes to mind?
Worst? I mean, it's going to have to be the first time I ever tried it. Yeah. But there's been many a night where it is just a bomb, You think it's working, but it's not, and you're just plowing through it.
What do you do in those moments? How do you keep yourself focused on the next?
I was always taught you never stop. In the beginning, I would just plow through my set. Even though they're not buying it, they don't want it. As I got more seasoned, more years under my belt, you become more savvy. When you see that your set's not working, then you go to the crowd work. Yeah. I literally will walk into the crowd now with the mic. If they're not buying it, I go out there and they're like, oh my God, the show's coming at me. And now,
So now I'm forced.
Right. Just like an old, whatever, a comic in the old days, go up, start doing crowd work right at the table.
Yeah.
Make fun of what they're drinking, what they're eating, then get back on stage. And I feel like I've loosened them up a little bit, and then back to the set.
Who are you gravitating towards on Instagram or TikTok or social media?
Who do I watch?
Yeah, who do you watch?
Comic-wise? Mm-hmm. Jeff R. Curry, who's coming to the club in, I think, May or June, who I'm excited about. But mainly comics.
Yeah.
He's like
Jessica is one that I just absolutely.
Jessica, definitely.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like I just saw she just filmed her new special at the Comedy Store, which I can't wait
Right.
for. I just saw that in her reels. So she's one, like she's a beast. I mean,
She's just
yeah.
everything that I need in terms of the set that she's got, her set,
Right.
but then the improvisation that she does. The
crowd work.
The crowd work. Just
amazing.
So much fun. Tell me about, and I believe, if I'm correct, a big win for you and a big, amazing experience has been your work with Joe Dombrowski.
It's been incredible.
Yeah.
And it has to do a little bit with you guys too, with the queens.
The drags.
With the drags. So you had been friends with Joe just by, Instagram,
social media
DMing
friend,
each other. Yeah. But Joe would see the pictures from, shows I would host with you. And then fast forward, I had opened 9 shows for Fortune Feimster just up and down the New York State Thruway. And we ended in Buffalo. And, I'd been following Joe as well. But when we got to Buffalo, it was Pride in Buffalo. And they had booked, the early show was myself and Fortune. And then Joe Dombrowski was the late show with the guys he brought. But when I got there and walked into the bar, he saw me, I saw him, and we kind of froze because I recognized, I know who he was.
Right.
He's like, looked at me like he should know. And then it hit him that I'm the guy who hosted for the drag shows.
Right.
And he brought you up. He's like, oh, Miss, we got to take a selfie, send it to her. And then, we did our show. Before I even got on stage, he goes, I said, we got to get you at the Carlson. He goes, oh, I know. We got to get there. Fortune and I do our show. I get off stage and he goes, I just got booked at the Carlson. Like that day, within that 2-hour span. And then he goes, I want you to open. So I said, great, because he saw my set. He loved it. Did the show with him there. And then, after that show, he's like, I want you to open for me. I'm doing some theater shows in Toronto. Definitely. Hell
Thank
yeah.
you very much.
Not turning that down. So I did 5 shows with him in Toronto, and he's been using me sporadically ever since.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing person. You haven't met him in person yet, right? Mm-mm. So you got to when he comes in May.
We've chatted on the phone. We've messaged back and forth. He's helped me with some things in preparation for Drag Race, as you did. And I wonder though, would opening for him would that be like your best experience? I don't know.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Working with other comics as well, like having opened for Kevin Pollak, the actor Kevin Pollak, things like that. But to work with and become friends with Joe, the best.
Yeah.
Just a great person.
Right.
Besides comic.
And I've had this experience with Bianca Del Rio, which I've discussed with you, where I'm not going to draw that crowd.
Yeah.
She did. And I had the honor, the privilege of being able to go out on stage and open. And I mean, they're ready.
Yes.
They're ready for Bianca. So I got a little extra love, but it was just like such a gift to be able to perform to that crowd.
Right. They're on fire. They're ready to go.
And it really informed a lot of nuances and things that I'm able to do on stage from that. It was a wonderful boost of confidence. And honestly, they don't need to do that. They maybe they don't need an opener. Maybe they could use anybody. It really is. I love that they lifted us both up in that way. Yeah. And we had that experience because it informs so many other times when we're on stage.
When you say nuances, what do you mean?
On stage?
Yeah.
When I go into that place where I'm like, oh my gosh, they're not liking this, I can pivot and not blame the audience.
Right.
I can, as you said, pivot to crowd work. I can pause and just not freak out. And maybe it's going to be a facial expression. So just own the moment.
Exactly.
And those things have just been a gift from having that experience. And just, I feel as though now, because of the Carlson and because of the times with Bianca and because of your suggestions, if I had to go up on stage at any point and do a set, I can do it. There's certain things that I'm going to refer to. And then if those things aren't working, as you mentioned earlier, I can zip into the crowd. And it's been that community. And that's what I love about the Carlson. I've said this before. I've worked in a lot of different clubs. The Carlson is like not only, which is important to me, it's clean. I like that it's a great.
It is.
It's a great place. It's clean. It's fun. It's always evolving in new technology with license and all that stuff.
Yes.
But then it's also everybody, bartenders, servers, yourselves in the marketing department and management are always there to like encourage and help and suggest.
Yeah.
And I think you've had like situations where you've had like, what am I trying to say? Like, you're bringing up new comics and you're guiding them and teaching them there.
Yes.
It's like that kind of community to me makes me feel like I want to be a part of it.
Sure. I think it's important.
That being said, our relationship, tell us a little bit about what it's like to be a drag queen. Have you ever been a drag queen?
I was. Yeah. What was it? The year before COVID?
I think
right?
so.
It was Halloween. Yeah. And we thought it'd be a fun little twist, throw me in drag and put me on stage. And it's still hands down. You asked like, what's, some of the best shows you've done.
Right.
That's still one of the most thrilling and scary shows I've ever been a part of because,
it's not your thing.
It's not my thing. I'm in heels. I'm in drag. I'm going up and doing my set. I have no glasses on. I can see nothing.
Great legs.
Great gams. I do. And then it was great. Like I found, like even talking to Aggie, she says the best thing about doing drag is you're a character at this point.
Right.
You can get away with whatever you want to say. And it was true. And they loved it.
Your daughter loved it. She was
my
right
daughter came up on stage
with
with me. It was amazing. It was so much fun. It is one of it's top 5 things I've done in comedy.
It was so funny. My memory of that is that you were so like, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And you came over to my house and I was like, all right, so now we're going to get you into drag. And you stripped right down to your underwear. I was like, well, this is great.
Yeah. I've been in a locker room before.
Let me have Mr. Davis here. I don't know.
Yeah.
No. You were just like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And whatever I got to do, we're going to do. Whatever I got to do, we're going to do. And you looked great. What was your drag name? I forgot though.
Todd Youngman.
Todd Youngman.
Yes. It's a good name.
I don't know why I forgot that.
Yeah. One day we'll bring her back.
Well,
Maybe. We'll see.
You know what? I think
That means I got to shave my beard.
No, you don't.
Okay.
That's the thing about drag. There are no rules.
Okay.
We can put glitter in that beard, or we can just pretend the beard's not there and just be Todd Youngman, who's like, she hasn't shaved this month, or whatever the case may be. I think it'd be really funny if you surprised Joe one night and just came out in drag.
Have you seen Joe in drag?
No.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have a feeling that Joe
with
really.
the magic school bus lady. What's her name?
Oh my gosh.
That's what he was made up as.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's on his social
she's the
media.
best.
You could find it
on his Insta Snatch.
on his
Yeah. Okay. Have you always you said your father was the funny one?
He was funny. Not like belly laughs all the time, but a comedy fan. Loved comedy.
Right.
Would stay up. He'd watch the Carson show.
Yeah.
And, if he knew there was a comic going to be on, he'd let me stay up a little bit later to watch if Rickles was on or Eddie Murphy or David Brenner or Billy Crystal, any of those, just to let me watch.
Right.
Because he knew I loved comedy. And, he was always supportive. He's like, one day I could see you being on Saturday Night Live, as a parent would.
Right.
And, because I'd imitate Fernando's Hideaway and, Billy Crystal sketches, but doesn't mean you're going to be on Saturday Night Live, but
it could happen.
I
believe it. I believe
he'd be
in
very
manifestation.
happy. He'd be very happy right what I'm doing now.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
I feel the same way with my parents who have passed, and I feel like my dad got to see me do drag. I think my mom knew about it, certainly.
Yeah.
But was like, she would give me a lipstick and she'd be like, do you want this for some of your friends? Like, or me, Ma.
Yeah.
So there was that.
Yeah.
But I think I love that. I love that they're watching in my mind.
Yeah.
That's how I believe that they're watching, they're encouraging. And I love that your sets are like, there's always a nod to the retro. There's always a nod to
the retro.
I remember, being a teenager. I remember growing up, this particular situation. And that's so relatable to so many people.
Yes. I think
recently you did your headlining show and jam-packed audience.
Yeah. It was about 11 people short of 200.
It's amazing.
Yeah. We were talking about
I don't know what that number is, but we'll just call it 200.
I was surprised. And you said, oh, don't be surprised. You've been pushing it for years. But yeah, I did push the hell out of it. Well, but when you're not a big name, that's what you have to do.
You have to do.
I don't have, a marketing machine behind me. I'm my marketing machine.
Same.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? That's what we have to do.
Right.
And I think that is a great message for anybody out there that's new to comedy, new to drag, listening, whether it's, our daughter has a jewelry business, whatever your business is, that you've got to get out there and be your own advocate, your own marketing team.
Yeah.
And we live in an age like, people can say all they want about social media. You and I both know that there was a time when you had to pay for an ad in a newspaper.
Sure.
That was the only way. Or you had to run around the streets and staple things up
to telephone poles.
Telephone poles and coffee shops.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And so now you have this. And so it really is about making sure you connect with your audience through social media.
Yes.
Get out there, say yes to the podcast, say, continue to advertise for yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not going to just happen for you. And you did. You feel that I couldn't be there for you that night, but I know that Fitz was there.
Yeah, Fitz was there. Yeah.
He said there were a lot of people from the radio television world that were there for you.
Yes.
And
Yeah. It was crazy. But yeah, that's what I tell younger comics. They're, I don't want to bother people. You have to bother people. Like people think, I posted once. Well, you might have posted in the morning, but those people may not have been on, and then that ad is filtered and gone, or your post is filtered and gone. So I would do it twice a day,
right?
Or take one down, put a new one up, just to keep it fresh. Because I want people to come out.
Yeah,
and it worked.
I'm glad you just said what you said. You want people to come out, and you say this in the posts, not just for yourself. Why is laughter so important now? Ever? I see you post about laughter, and you talk about it, how important it is.
Everybody needs, I always say, laughter does the body good. And it does. It does. It's cathartic. Even if people, like, this is the way I look at it. Everybody who came out to my show on March 6th, I'm pretty sure, I hope they all laughed.
Right.
Even if I gave them a laugh for, 5 minutes of that time, I gave them a laugh. They could have had, a bad month, the bad week, the year's been bad. And maybe I, changed the little course of their night or their week or their month, made them think about something, made one of my bits made them that much happier. And, it's an endorphin,
right?
When you laugh, and it makes the body feel better.
Yeah. It's something
and that's the way I look at comedy. I'm not up there for ego. I'm not. I'm up there to make people laugh and make people happy, because I started on a dare from a therapist who's trying to right this guy's head. And then when I got better and better at comedy, I'm like, eventually, I hope I can give back in a way.
Yes.
And I feel like getting up on stage and giving people a few, chuckles is that giving back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's another similarity where Aggie and I talk about it. I mean, for years we were at the Golden Ponds in Greece, New York. And the average age was probably 65 and up.
Yeah.
And people would say to us, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to have this night out.
Right. Isn't that great?
Oh my God.
That's the best part.
That's the payment.
Right.
And yes, it's great to have likes and follows and an opportunity to be on a, television show or whatever the case may be. But those moments are what matters. And I know that you experience those moments at the club. The one thing I want to touch on before we go to dad jokes, because it's a big kind of a topic in the comedy world. Mm-hmm. What do you say to somebody who says, you know what, I got offended by that joke?
I've gotten it, and I'll explain to people. I do a bit about a little person who accosted me at a bagel shop, which really happened 9 years ago.
Okay.
And I put it in my act, and I made it funny because that's how I dealt with the situation.
Right.
Didn't use a derogatory term about the little person.
Right.
Referred to them as a little person because I think that's how they like to be referred to. Whatever. But some people, felt that was, that's mean. But it's not. It's how I deal with a situation. And I think that's how a lot of comedians process. Like if they can't make sense of a situation, they go ahead and make jokes of it. And I think that's true with a lot of people. They use humor as a coping mechanism.
Yes. And it's a way for us. There are certain things that we need to talk about and laugh about. And everything doesn't have to be an argument.
No.
Right? And through that laughter, we're learning. I mean, certainly in the time that we've known each other, we're like, oh, we can no longer say that.
Yes.
Or, I mean, certainly when I was a kid, the things that we laughed at were like, oh my gosh, right? And so as a people, or, we continue to evolve and grow. But I think that there are times that the most painful things need laughter. I mean, I remember some of the biggest laughs were at family funerals where, in this moment, like you're taken from this sadness.
Yeah.
And speaking of Auntie, my great aunt walked in and she was so upset about her sister, my grandmother.
Yeah.
And she's Italian, and she had lots of powder in her shoes, and every step she took was like, poof,
come out of the shoe.
all these clouds of smoke. And we were like, we're in heaven. And like everybody was just laughing, and she was so mad at us. Why are you laughing? And we're like, Aunt Rose, look what you just created. This, that is an example of like something that's not necessarily offensive towards race or ethnicity, etc. But the fact of the matter is, we need to continue to have conversations to laugh. Sure. I would love to have someday on this particular podcast, somebody who's extremely conservative. Let's have a conversation. Let's laugh at each other and try to get to a place where we really are much more alike.
That would be a great conversation.
Yeah. So we'll get there someday. We'll have Mark on. That's no problem. Okay, it is time for dad jokes.
Is it really? That was fast.
It is time for dad jokes. Okay. So are you going to just randomly pick two?
Yeah, we'll both do it.
I did one.
You go first.
No, you go first. You're the guest.
Okay. You ready?
You want me to go? Are you afraid? You want me to go first?
Do you want to go ladies first? I'm not afraid.
Okay, well then do it.
How dare you? I'm so embarrassed. My dad ate a kid's meal today at McDonald's. The kid's mom got really mad about it.
I love that. Okay, what kind of trees have fingers?
I don't know.
Palm trees.
Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
When it's raining cats and dogs, what do you have to watch out for? Stepping in a poodle.
That's perfect. Okay. How does a train eat?
It chews.
It goes choo. You got it.
Close. That's close.
You're the first person who actually got the dad joke.
Oh, really?
Like who answered?
Oh my God, what do I get?
Nothing.
Oh.
A bottle of water.
Hello.
I'd like to complain. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for being here today. And I'm sure
This was fun.
Yeah, and of course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time together, you and I always have fun.
How long was that?
It's 32 minutes and 43 seconds, but I'm going to do the outro and then we'll talk about other things about how it went.
Should I just sit here?
You could just sit here and you could say thank you so much.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Who are some of your comedy people that inspired you?
Joan Rivers. My mother.
Yeah. All our mothers.
We've messaged back and forth. Joan Rivers, my mother. I mean, Bianca Del Rio, because of the opportunities I was provided. But in drag, Aggie June, really helped me to get out there. But I mean, again, I said it. You don't necessarily always believe me, but you helped me tremendously on how to put together a set on as to what to do up on stage in those moments of like panic. And
that means a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't just text those things. I mean them.
Well, yeah.
So here I am saying it over the WWW.
All right, do your outro.
You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on wherever you podcast. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so excited to continue to bring you people who motivate me, entrepreneurs, motivated people who are out there making a difference and saying to themselves, you know what? I can do it. And if they can do it, so can you. So thank you so much for tuning in. And always remember, if you're in Rochester or the surrounding areas and you're looking for a studio and you want to record something, whether you just want to hear yourself sipping a cup of coffee like the ASMR or whatever, you can come to Rockbox Studios and you can get it all done. And it's fantastic. But what I want to remind you is to remember, there's always time for kindness. See you next time.